got that dope.
Hey guys, welcome to Girls Like Us TV.
Hi, I'm Aisha.
Hi, I'm Jazz.
Hi, I'm Keisha.
Hi, I'm Ashley D.
Hi, I'm Ashley S.
And we are Girls Like Us TV.
So you guys, our first poll on our Girls Like Us TV Instagram, we asked you guys to send in some hot topics or some things that you guys would like to see us talk about. And actually, you guys, a thing that was, let me pull it up and see. Oh my gosh, you guys. Y'all gotta get ready. So, the most voted topic was actually light skin versus dark skin.
Yeah, that's a big
This
one.
is going to be really, really heavy. And I want to start off by saying how extremely beautiful each shade of brown is. Our black community as a whole needs to come, especially today, we need to come and do a better job of uplifting each other. Although we all know that light skin versus dark skin is a very, very heavy topic.
Absolutely.
Very, very heavy. This is still a community where all shades are welcome. In this platform, we want to make sure that we speak life into you. You are beautiful.
Absolutely.
So I want to definitely start off by saying that. So actually, I want to kind of get into where this whole light skin versus dark skin came from.
It was a letter that was written, I want to say maybe around the 1700s. Don't quote me on that. However, because I'm not sure, but I know it was probably written around the time where slavery was just at its peak. And essentially, this letter was written so that white slave owners knew essentially how to make their slaves do what they needed them to. It was written so that they knew, like, this is how you're supposed to train your, I don't want to use the word, but your slave, essentially. So that's pretty much where I think the colorism, essentially what we call it today in 2020 is colorism. That's where I feel like that had pretty much stemmed from, because the whole light skin versus dark skin thing happened way back when with the plantations. If you were lighter complected, you got to work in the house. You were more favored by the master. You even, if I can be honest with y'all, were raped to have kids with the master.
Yeah.
It's just so much happened then. And, if you were darker complected, you had to be outside in the field all day. You were privy to things like, meals first, things of that sort. So this stems back years ago. So let's make sure we put the history in it as well before we jump right into 2020 colorism, if that makes sense.
Is actually what it was meant to do, was to separate the black community.
Absolutely.
Light skin versus dark skin, a way to uplift the lighter complexions and demean the darker complexions.
To pin us against each other.
Absolutely. And are those things still going on today? Do you guys think?
Oh, for sure.
I think so, yeah.
So I kind of want to get into our experience, ladies, and we're going to be honest with you guys on our platform. We want everyone to respect our honesty, respect our experiences, but since we are different shades of melanin, lighter skin versus dark skin, so it's so crazy how this is the topic that was most suggested.
So, for me, I consider myself to be brown skin, but I feel like in today's society, it's like you're either light skin or you're dark skin. Like, I talk to people and they be like, you're light skin. I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm brown skin. Or they'll say that I'm dark skin. I feel like it's pretty much like opinionated, but honestly, in my family, one of my experiences, or my cousin's experiences, my cousin, she's dark skin, and my aunt wanted her to be brown skin so bad, and I don't understand, or lighter skin, and I just don't understand why is it looked at bad if you're dark skin, because it's like, my cousin's a pretty dark skinned girl, like, she's pretty, her complexion is everything. And I feel like growing up, especially back in the day, like currently, it's getting more like, okay, it's kind of blending in a little bit, but back in the day, like, it was seen as bad if you were dark skinned. I'm like, I don't understand why.
Okay, so as far as our individual experiences, did you experience negative, or what was your negative and positive experience growing up with your complexion?
Okay, so for me, when growing up, I didn't really have any negative experience with my color complexion. The only thing that really, when it came to like my skin tone and stuff like that, people, because of my hair, my natural hair, people would think that I was mixed. stuff like that. They would think I had white in me or a whole bunch of Indian. I'm like, no, I'm just black. But when it comes to like the debate of light skin versus dark skin, I never got bullied for my skin complexion because I honestly feel like I was right in the middle. Like I know growing up, for instance, Jazz can tell her experience, she got bullied a lot just for being the pretty light skinned girl. So I guess you can talk about that.
Okay.
Share your experience, Jazz.
Yeah, so when I was in, it was like 10th grade, and like I went from a predominantly white school to a predominantly black school, and like there, like I was like, oh, it's the light skinned girl, like the pretty light skin, and they would kind of like attack me and kind of look at me as like I'm weak. So so I think that's really what it was. Like just because I was light skinned, it's like I was weak and like I couldn't, like I didn't have like that aggression, as they like to call it, and so they would just pick on me.
And I want to also note for you guys, you all can't see, but Jazz also has green hazel eyes, and she's of lighter complexion, so she has a lot of European
features,
standards of beauty. Just so you guys can see that. Okay, go ahead.
Yes. And what was I saying again?
They would pick on you.
Oh yes, yes.
They thought you were trying to take a man. Take your man.
Yeah, like they. I think they were just like a what's the word? They weren't confident in themselves. They were kind of like
their own insecurity.
Yeah, like it was their being insecure. Like I would come, like they would always think I would like comfort a man, or like they would think I'm stuck up. Like I think I'm full of myself, and really I'm like the total opposite.
Simply because of the color of your skin.
Yes. And all because like I'm light skinned with pretty hair. I mean, I don't like to use the term like there is pretty hair because everybody has pretty hair, but like that's what stereotypically people say.
And you said this is 10th grade, so you guys got to put you all selves in the mind. In 10th grade, you're average 15, 16 years old. So you all have to think. And I want to also note, I remember, if you guys watch my personal channel, asking my niece at the age of 4 or 5. I remember taking her to the store and showing her all the Barbie dolls because I saw something on Instagram, and I asked her which doll was the prettiest, and to pick out to me and show me the dolls that were prettiest, and she only touched the lighter skinned dolls. And I'm like, you're 4 or 5. Like, where did this come from? I'm asking her, and I'm getting in her mind, trying to understand like what is going on. I don't want you to think that you're not beautiful because your skin is darker. Who is telling you this? What shows are you watching? Like, how is your experience like this at 4 or 5? So just take my niece, for example, for her to grow up thinking like lighter is better, and then she gets to 10th grade and sees someone like Jazz who has lighter skin, has the hair texture of the Barbie doll that she said was prettier, and then now all of a sudden there is envy already just from your upbringing or your youth or her personal experiences, and that's just what's keeping the black community divided, and it starts from that. So just like you were talking about the letter and how they
it's just TV representation as well. Like representation is so important, and I mean even now in 2020 we still only see, I feel like the only time we see women of a darker complexion, in my opinion, is if they're just drop dead gorgeous. If they're not drop dead gorgeous, I mean, it's almost like it's still the same thing. It's
so
like,
their natural beauty isn't accepted. Their kinky hair, their raw natural skin.
It's just like I said. It feels like it has to be like the 10 of that skin tones essentially, and it's just almost like we're still not quite there. They're just now making laws as of 2020. Okay, you can wear your natural hair to work. That's not considered essentially like, oh, barbaric, or that's not the hairstyle for this company. It's just crazy that we have these things, and that's like something we have to think of.
And I don't mean to interject, but even with the natural hair thing, some jobs it's like, okay, you can wear your natural hair, but it has to be tamed. Like it can't be like, so we all have different textures of hair. So it's like, if your texture of hair isn't in that company standards, then you technically can't wear it, and that's for a lot of companies.
That's what I'm saying. They're just now trying to make that not a thing, which doesn't make any sense to us.
Growing up, I kind of wanted the white Barbies too. Not gonna lie.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know where it came from because my mama never let me get the. Maybe because I grew up in a predominantly.
I feel like representation, like that's what I was gonna say. You wanted the white Barbie dolls, because I'm gonna be honest. I actually had something happen to me when I was young. This was years ago. I might be older, younger than y'all, but they had those dolls, those Bratz dolls back in the day. And I literally had Chloe, which was the white girl. I had Sasha. I did have Sasha. the black girl, and I had the Latina. And if I'm be honest with y'all, the one I loved the most was the Latina one. If you want me to be honest, I loved her the most. Her name was Yasmin. I love Yasmin. I love Black Yasmin. And it's not that I thought Sasha was ugly or Chloe was ugly. I don't know why I identified so much with Yasmin, but I was playing with this girl, and she was tearing Yasmin hair up. She was literally tearing her hair up. She got to Chloe, and she just started, like, you know how the dolls come with their hair preset. She was like about to make them look crazy, and I literally was like, girl, stop. And she literally threw my Barbie dolls, like she threw Yasmin and Chloe at me and said, I want to play with your white Barbie dolls anyway. Ooh. And I mind y'all, this happened when I was like 5-6 years old. When she said it to me, it didn't register to me at the time. Okay, what she mean by my white Barbie dolls? Like, I didn't know. I know now that I favored Yasmin. Back then, I didn't realize that I was favoring somebody that she didn't look nothing like me. Right. And I literally didn't play with Sasha the least. I did play with Sasha the least out of all three of them. So I'm just saying that to say, I don't think that I don't want to say I hated myself, but it was more so that's what I saw. That was society.
Because on the commercials, you saw Yasmin and you saw Chloe in the commercial for the Barbie commercial at the mall with the man, the hot man, the nice cute car, hair blowing in the wind, and you see stuff like that, and they normalize that. So now we as children, we look and we say, that's pretty, that's beautiful, a man wants this, and you know, it starts when you're young. And then as you get older, and you know, the kinky hair doesn't blow in the wind, but that doesn't mean it's not beautiful. It doesn't mean it's not beautiful. It's just like you said, it's not being represented enough.
I never thought about like the whole like light skin, dark skin thing. I just think I'm a little light brown.
So Ashley, what do you
A lot of people thought that I was light skinned, but for me, I feel like Keisha. Like, I see myself as brown skinned.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah,
because I consider you light skinned. Yeah.
but I don't know why though. To me, I look like I'm brown skinned, but also I feel like
You look peanut butter.
yeah, little caramel. Maybe.
In the summer, I definitely feel like you're brown skinned.
Yeah. To me, I don't know. I feel like it's up to personal preference at this point. Like whether people consider you like light skin or dark skin, or what you consider yourself light skin or dark skin.
You can identify yourself as anything.
Honestly, yeah.
Truthfully.
Okay, Ashley.
Yeah.
Oh, I consider myself brown skin.
Brown skin.
Okay.
And Aisha.
I definitely consider myself brown, but as Keisha and Ashley D both mentioned, I have been called dark skin before, and I've also been called light skin before. I don't understand.
I feel like, okay, not only does it bring out insecurities in like with girls, but even with the guys, now that I'm thinking about it, I rarely hear guys say like, you know how guys are like, oh, I love light skinned girls. Like when it comes to dating, like, I mean, when I'm dating, of course you like brown skin girls, because of course you wouldn't be dating if you didn't. But normally I hear guys say like, oh, I like light skinned shorties, like, and it's like, it's still the same, it's the same dynamic. Like, I never really hear anybody say, ooh, I love dark skinned girls.
Yeah. Or when you do see someone say it, it's always like, oh, she's a pretty dark skinned girl.
Or for a dark skin.
She's pretty for a dark skin.
So while we're on that subject, we have a special guest here, guys, and I would love to bring her in, and I want you guys to hear her perspective and how it was with her growing up. We're back. I want to introduce you all to one of my closest friends, Tia.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you all. Thank you.
So before we get to her experiences and we ask her all the questions and stuff, I just want to say that everyone's experience is different.
Absolutely.
So throughout this whole video, we've been sharing our experiences, and we want you guys to share your experiences in the comments and stuff, but just know that everybody has their own experience. So I just want to put that out there.
Okay, so the first question that I wanted to ask pertaining to this subject matter. So we heard Jazz talk about how a lot of people looked at her and automatically had a disdain for her just because simply of how she looked. You being of darker complexion, honestly, were you intimidated by girls like Jazz growing up?
Okay, so I am the darkest member of my family. My entire family looks like Jazz. So I wouldn't say intimidated, jealousy played a big part in my childhood. My family doesn't know this. I think the only people who do know is Aisha, she's one of my best friends, and the rest of my friends. My family doesn't know that growing up I was uncomfortable because I grew up in Brooklyn, and the kids on the block would say I was adopted because everyone else is light skin, fair hair, and I was just dark skin, kinky. I was literally, if people look at me now, they're like, you're dark skin, but you're not black dark skin. There are females who are darker than me, but growing up, I felt black. I had kinky hair. It was short. My entire family, like I said, they're Indian and black. So Indian and Puerto Rican. I just was uncomfortable. I wasn't intimidated, but I was jealous that I didn't fit in. I wouldn't say I bullied. I'm very chill. Anyone who knows me knows I'm very chill. I kind of just let it like slide under the rug, kind of. I never really paid attention to it. I just knew myself as a person was uncomfortable. I can't say that I was mean towards anyone or I didn't make you want to fit in, but being dark skinned, I kind of got the, not reputation, but being of darker skin makes you look hard or make you seem like the aggressive person, and the light skin girls are dainty, and so I kind of took on the role as hard. But I wear heels most of the time. I'm very feminine, but being of darker skin, my cousin and I are 2 years apart, and comparing to her, I was the tomboy or I was the aggressor. In all reality, she was the mean one. And I was the meek and mild and timid. That's who I was. But because I was uncomfortable, I was quiet around my family, around my friends and peers. I was boisterous, I was loud. My friends, they get in altercation. You need me to beat her up? I need to beat up. Because that's the role I took on. So, but in all reality, with my family, I was timid. So.
And it's interesting that you didn't have this conversation. Just gonna be my last question, and then you guys, if you all had any other ones. But it's interesting that you haven't. You don't have to say your age, but you're mid-20s.
28.
28. So for 28 years, you haven't had any conversation with your family about your inner feelings. Do you feel as though they would judge you or kind of like brush it off like,
they would brush it off because they wouldn't understand. To them, it's kind of like, hey, you don't need to feel like that. That's not like that with us. Right. But in reality, my family is not American, so they don't know American society. They're Jamaican. They're just in a whole different kind of world of culture. They don't relate to a lot of things. I don't consider myself Jamaican or Jamaican American. I am American. I was born in America. I was raised in America. So I know the cultural difference of light skin and dark skin. So for them, it's kind of like, it's all right, but y'all never had to experience it. My family will look at me and be like, why you having so much makeup? Or why do you wear weave? Y'all don't have to. No, I'm not saying that dark skin or African American women, period, have to wear weave or anything. But growing up with y'all who have hair flowing down y'all back, and I never had that. So as an adult, I can afford it. I'm gonna buy me some weave. I'm gonna put it in, and guess what?
Okay.
I know y'all saw me tearing up on camera, so I definitely want to address it. Like, first of all, I'm a very emotional, sensitive person, especially when it's somebody I know and they're talking about their experience. And although I've heard this story hundreds of times, it's just every time I hear her tell a story, it makes me sad because she shouldn't have had to feel that way. And her family loves her to death. And I feel like because they are not from America, they wouldn't have known to pour that love into her. They wouldn't have known to make sure she felt just as superior as her lighter skinned cousins and aunties and uncles and things of that sort. And I feel like as a black community, that's one thing we have to do. We have to make our daughters especially feel beautiful at all times. We have to pour love into them. We have to tell them they're beautiful. And I know we live in a society right now where they say everybody can't get a medal. We have to tell those kids that you can be whoever you want. We have to do that for them because it's more so not about setting them up for failure. It's more so just making sure they feel like if nobody else loves me, got my back, my family does, my friends do, my community, my environment. So that's why I got a little bit, teary-eyed because it's just, I hate that growing up as black women because I also feel like my parents, I know they love me, but they never really was you're beautiful, you're this, you're that, like putting me on that pedestal. I had to put myself on that pedestal, if that makes sense. So I'm saying all that to say we have to do that. Just pour love into your little ones and make sure they know, you know.
I just kind of fell underneath everything because they were put up so high. Right. Especially my cousin. We're 2 years apart, so we hung out the most. And
you felt in shadow.
Yeah, I was her shadow. Like, I would never want to go out with her because I knew I was going to get any attention. Oh, man. I had to make my own friends to go out and do my own thing with people who look like me or feel kind of the way I feel. My family, in Jamaican terms, they say stush. Like, they feel like they're here. So at the time, they're here, and I still kind of felt like here. Not saying the people I surround myself with are here, but are more relatable to society, understand what's going on. They didn't really understand what was going on. So dating, I kind of moved away from my family because I feel like I'll be in comparison all the time to them. Or, oh, your cousin's so fine. What's your cousin's name? Can I get your cousin name? I just had to separate myself completely from it.
So what would you, so like when you have children, and what would you say to children or other little girls or other people to like motivate or help?
I do. I have a son, and my mom said something the other day that I kind of almost wanted to uppercut her for. She was like, Gracie, no date no girl with no weave. I was like, girl, that's life. Yeah. I don't care if you date a girl with weave. I don't care if she's white. I will care if she's white. But it just, love a person. Love yourself for who you are. Absolutely. Don't ever let anyone tell you that society is going to make you ugly. If you're big, you're tall, you're short, you're small, you're dark skinned, you're black light tar, you're beautiful. If God wanted you to be light skinned, if God wanted you to be dark skinned, God made you how God wants to make you.
Alright guys, now we have my sister, my real sister, Kaylin is here. You can introduce yourself. How old are you?
Okay, my name is Kaylin and I'm 24 years old.
Yes. Okay, so as you can see, this is, we have, like this is what when I think of like light skin, this is like what I would think of. And I'll always, like, you know, think I'm like a little, they will even call me brown at the house, like I'm the brown sister. I'm thinking like, dang, I'm brown, okay. It never bothered me anything, but it just when most of my people in my home growing up are like yellow, then that's what I thought. So we're gonna get into your experience. So how was your experience like at school, going with your complexion?
So growing up, I was bullied from elementary to high school for multiple things, but my skin tone was one of them. Being called your ugly light-skinned girl or white girl, and being light-skinned, I was being associated with being soft or weak. So a lot of people you had to prove like yourself to, because you had to show like, oh, I'm not no one to mess with just because of my skin tone. So I had to go through that like my whole life. Still, even after high school, I'm still like, you know, proving that. So it's a tough struggle, but
yeah, I feel like people, you know, we talk about, you know, the dark skin struggles, but I feel like as light skinned girls, they feel like that you guys never get to share your struggle too.
Or they feel like you guys don't have a struggle
at all. Right. And I think that goes back to like y'all mentioned earlier with the slavery thing, being that the light skinned women were in the house, that they weren't able to handle hard work and like that type of work.
Yeah,
so it started there with being light skinned women being soft because they couldn't handle that, because, you know, slavery started that and it was programmed into them, and even now. So when people say like, oh, you're not black enough, it's like, no, I'm black as you, just because I came out different skin tone, but we still have the same struggles. So
yeah, or people think you're not even black at all. Like,
like
a lot of people have thought that before, that you were like white.
Oh yeah, like even they said you can't say the N word, you're not black enough. I'm like, what?
Wow.
Yeah, I got that a lot.
So just like we asked Tia with her experience of how she looked at the lighter complexion women growing up, how did you feel more superior or of elite status, being like when you went to school like that you were lighter? Did you feel like, oh, I know I can get any boy that I want? I know I'm prettier? I know, like, off the bat? Or were you more intimidated? Like, just what was your experience? Honestly, like, if that's how you felt being lighter because the world made you already feel like you were superior, did you take that in and had to unlearn those traits? Or did you automatically just know? Just kind of sort of talk about that.
No, I don't think I didn't look at it. I think I grew up around a lot of different mixed shades, people, even white people. Like, I didn't look at it like that, but it was brought to me because, you know, people commented on me and saying, oh, you'll get it, like, that's just, you know, light-skinned girls always get this and that. But me, and I was just like, no, like, I really didn't see color like that, like, or see myself in that way. So, no, I'm sure other people probably feel that same way, but my experience, I didn't try to look at it in that light.
Did y'all ever, like, experience different types of stereotypes? Because I know, like, everyone's, like, associating light skin with, like, being, like, feminine and dainty, but, like, when I was growing up, a lot of people, like, consider light-skinned girls like, oh, well, she's light-skinned, she has a bad attitude or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Did y'all ever experience that?
Yes, so much. So, like, I'm very quiet and timid, like, introverted person. So when I don't know people or I'm in a big crowd, like, I'm kind of very quiet and timid. But people would come up to me and be like, when I first met you, I just knew you were just stuck up and just this and that, and you were just mean. And I'm like, oh my God, like, I never gave off that, I didn't want to give off that look to anybody, but it was just because I guess the looks and my skin tone, they just was like, oh yeah, you know, I already know how she's gonna be, you know, judge me.
But in reality, you just shy.
Yeah. People swear, like, we think we all that because we are light skinned. No, I think I'm all that because I think I'm all that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, don't get it twisted.
That's a different topic. Yeah. Like, it has nothing to do with the hair. It's just like, it's your own self-confidence.
And I think when people, anybody who starts, you know, attacking you, saying, oh, you think you're all that, that's their insecurities within themselves. And that just comes with anything, period. Anytime you're being attacked for anything, your hair, your looks, how you act, that's people's own insecurities projecting on you. So they have to deal with that within themselves. So when people are talking about you and your skin tone or you're white, they, in their head, they probably wishing that they look like you. You know what I'm saying? Because they're dealing with their own stuff.
It's kind of like that saying, like, hurt people hurt people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Caitlin, what I want to ask you also, I think we also asked Tia this, like, as far as your friends are considered, did you see yourself, did you feel like you had to immerse yourself in hanging with girls who were more so your skin tone, or did you feel like, okay, because people see me as this weak person, I can't stand up for myself, did you feel like you needed to have friends that were considered, I guess, aggressive or could have your back, things of that sort? That's where I'm headed with this.
Yes, I think I did a lot in high school, and that's just because, like I said, I was bullied a lot, so I felt like I had to hang with people who I knew would somewhat cover me or have my back, or feel like, yo, they can't mess with her, she's staying with so-and-so. Like, I had to protect myself, and it's sad because that's just, you know, from basing me off of my skin tone and just knowing, oh, yeah, she's soft, she ain't about it. Like, even Drake said in his song, he said, yeah, I'm light-skinned, but I'm a dark-skinned nigga. Like, he said it. Yeah. Because he's saying, like, dark-skinned people are hard and tough. Like, no, I'm light-skinned, I'm soft, but I'm still a dark-skinned nigga. It's just sad, like, that I have to compare myself to another black male or female. Right. Because their melanin is a little darker than mine.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, I think you always had, like, a skin of, like, browner complexion, and, like, they were always, kind of like stick up for you, like that kind of thing. Just because your natural personality is just being timid, like, you had to have like a little bit more about the person, I guess, kind of like to balance it out. But yeah, it's people think you have like a light skin mentality. I think that's things that we have to do a lot better job still today, even with men, because like men also had, like, when we go through, like, women calling them have a dark skin mentality or a light skin mentality. Dark skin are a lot more like aggressive, or but it really has nothing to do with that.
Yeah. I know I can be guilty of that.
Yeah, we all can. Yeah. I mean, Drake did say it pretty. He did say it pretty true.
It is crazy, like, to piggyback off of Kaylin's experience and Tia's experience with who they wanted to associate themselves with, or I noticed when I was with my darker complexion friends in middle school and high school, I was probably the only one who got attention when we were around guys. Like, the guys only really wanted to talk to me, and I'm not even. I was just lighter than them. Like I'm not saying I'm light skinned. I was lighter than them.
Right.
But I had some darker, like literally like Tia's complexion. Like all of them were her complexion, and when I would hang out with them or go places with them, go to the mall with them, go out with them, guys only wanted to talk to me, and it was so weird because they were beautiful too. Like they were really, really pretty. Like I'm serious. Like they were really, really gorgeous. And the guys only wanted to talk to me. But whenever I went out with my lighter complexion friends, or it was a mix of us, it wasn't like that. The guys wanted to talk to the lighter girls of the group, seemingly. And, you know, as I got older, then I started realizing, like, you think back, I'm a 27-year-old woman now. Like, I have 3 daughters who I have to raise, who have to understand the different dynamics of whose character to look after versus whose complexion to look after.
I just want to say everything you said is very important, and I just feel like we need to always just remain and be conscientious. It's one thing you touched on about how you said you felt kind of bad for your darker skinned, complected friends when you would hang out because you thought about how this made them feel. My experience was a little bit different. Growing up, I hung out with my cousin. Mine was actually very similar to Tia's, which is very crazy because I feel like me and Tia are not too far away from our skin tones, but I guess I am a bit lighter than her. So what I would say is my cousin, I'm not going to say her name, but she is mixed with Panamanian black. And when we were younger, she had the hair and all that stuff that, you know, people just thought was just the standard of beauty. And when I would hang out with her, I definitely was called the ugly black girl. I definitely was dark skinned. I remember in particular one time, this dude, he was so fine, and we both was like trying to, you know, get to him. And it was just like, you know, I just thought I was looking so cute that day, and I was like, okay, maybe it's my chance. And he was just like, no, I don't want to talk to you. You dark skinned. I want to talk to her. And I just remember thinking to I think that was my first time ever. I had to have been like 8 years old, where I had that happen to me, where I realized that I was dark skinned, or I realized that color even was something people was looking at, if that makes sense. So when I may have been 10, I may have been around that time, but when he said it to me, it literally, like, I'm not gonna say it broke me, but essentially my heart fell in my stomach, and I felt very small in that moment. And so that experience, literally from middle school, high school, they're all my friends. I've always had light skin, dark skin, mixed friends my entire life. What it did for me, I always I want to say I stayed in my place, but I just never, how can I say this will make sense? Like, I knew if I was hanging out with a girl that was lighter than me, I knew she was going to get the boy. I became desensitized. That's the word I want to use. I became desensitized to it. I just said, you know what? Dang, she gonna get, like, and even my other best friend, her and I are both the same complexion. We had one friend, she was the Beyonce. I'm gonna just use that as for reference. She was the Beyonce of the group, and she got all the guys, and me and her literally in the back like this, she would be walking off to the sunset with all the guys. No, I'm just every time, like, it was like clockwork. But as Kaylin said, as Jazz said, she also was very bullied in high school because people had this perception of her that was not true. But at the same time, I'm going to be honest, and y'all forgive me for saying this, I see why people felt that way, because I would be lying to y'all if I didn't feel that way. Sometimes we just have to unlearn that type of mentality. And all of us, even you guys listening right now, we're all going to have different experiences, like Ashley said. But at the end of the day, like, we just have to learn that we as black people have to stop pitting each other against each other and making us feel like somebody's inferior or superior because of their skin complexion. Like, we have to stop.
And just because you didn't experience something doesn't mean that it doesn't hold weight. Because I know people might bring that up, saying, oh, you know, they're over here talking about their light skin struggles, but it don't compare it to what we went through as dark skinned women. We're not saying that it compares. We're not saying it holds greater weight. Everybody has a right to, you know, say what they've been through, because everybody been through stuff. Like I said, personally, me, I haven't dealt with it. We're like getting into the technical. Like, I haven't really dealt with it, as Aisha said. And maybe it's because when I was younger, I wasn't really into like the whole dating thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was just trying to be on fun.
Yeah, Ashley, I'm gonna be honest with you, and don't take this the wrong way, or don't any of you guys take this the wrong way, but I definitely feel like maybe you did not feel like you were bullied because of your hair texture. If you had what's called traditional, and it's not traditional, but just the standard. We talking about standards of Black beauty. You do not have 4C kinky hair, so that's probably why.
Yeah, that is true, because like I said, it would always be like, oh, you must be mixed or you got long pretty hair, you know what I'm saying? It would be more like
The exotic features.
yeah. Okay.
And even like with guys though, like they'll be like, oh well, I want her because she has like longer hair. I like her because she has longer hair, not just necessarily just because she light skin or because she dark skin, but like for some reason it's like their hair texture and like the way their features are set up.
Yeah. So. Even mamas say don't bring no hair no bald headed nappy
For
girl.
the jeans,
they
for
say
the
even mamas
kids.
be telling their sons that. So
You gotta do a better job as
crazy.
men and women to accept and love all features of different kinds.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, so that wraps up our very first episode. I hope you guys thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. Like they said, we are all entitled to our experiences. We just kind of wanted to shed light on the topic you guys talked about the most in our poll. So hope you guys enjoyed it.
And make sure you follow our Instagram and make sure you subscribe, because we have videos coming and we have fun topics. If you guys want us to talk about anything, leave them in the comments too, because we're gonna get real, raw, and authentic with this show. Okay?
Yeah, so let us know what you want to hear.
Yeah.
Bye.
Peace.
See ya.